Since the beginning of the social mankind, humans have acted in spite. And occasionally, in response to that spite, we humans have acted in vengeance.
Yeah.
In a paper titled Chimpanzees are Vengeful but Not Spiteful, written by Keith Jensen, Joseph Cole, and Michael Tomasello, they wanted to see how chimpanzees would react to certain disadvantageous situations, and if they would exhibit what humans call spite. But what exactly is the difference between vengeful and spiteful? Well, according to Google, vengeful refers to harming someone in return for something, whereas spiteful can be described by harming just for the purpose of malice. Now, let's go into the research facility. Let's take a look at the first study in this experiment. This study consisted of 4 different conditions. In the first condition, known as the partner feeding condition, one chimp was set in a cage on one side of the room, who we'll call the actor, and another chimp is set in a cage on the other side of the room, and we'll call this one the partner. In between them sat a table with food on it. The partner can reach the food, but the actor cannot. But what's this? A rope is tied to the leg of the table. The actor can pull the rope, and the table collapses. Now we'll be looking at the second condition, known as the baseline. In this condition, only the actor is present, and the table has only pieces of plastic on it. The rope is still there though. This condition is to see how often a chimp will just pull the rope. To the third condition, the self-feeding condition, we see a similar setup to the baseline, but there are some key differences. In this condition, there's food on the table, and the rope is still there, but the actor can reach the food. This condition is set as a control to measure if the chimp has the ability to stop itself from pulling the rope when it wouldn't make sense to do so. Finally, in the fourth condition, nobody feeding, there's a setup that looks like a mix of the previous 3. In this condition, the actor is alone again, but it can't reach the food. This was set up to measure the frustration of not being able to reach the food, and to see if the chimp would pull the rope. So, what were the results? This graph shows each condition as a separate bar, measuring the percentage of the time in which a chimp would pull the rope in each given condition. On the right side here, we can see there isn't any significant difference between the nobody feeding and the partner feeding conditions. This means that the chimps were no more likely to pull the rope when another chimp could reach the food compared to when there wasn't a chimp that could reach the food. Both conditions had chimps essentially getting just as stressed and pulling the rope. Comparing this to the left side, the baseline and self-feeding conditions show to be significantly different than the conditions on the right. With the baseline condition specifically, chimps didn't pull the rope that much, meaning that pulling the rope was not something they just did for fun. What exactly does this all mean? Well, knowing chimps will pull the rope just as much when there is another chimp compared to when there isn't indicates they were pulling the rope out of frustration. The fact that they pulled the rope significantly less in the conditions when there wasn't food or where they could reach the food furthers this result to show that the frustration is caused more specifically by the fact that they couldn't reach the food, and not by the fact that there's another chimp who can. So we can conclude that the chimps didn't act in spite in these situations. In the second study of this experiment, as briefly as can be put, the researchers wanted to see how chimps would react to getting food taken away from them. This chart indicates that they would pull the rope significantly more often when the food was taken away from them by another chimp, indicated by theft, than in any other conditions, which included food being given away by the researcher to the partner while eating, outcome disparity, having it taken away by the researcher, loss, or there being just plastic pieces, baseline. This shows that chimps acted in vengeance by having their food taken away by other chimps. Together, these 2 studies show that chimps are vengeful, but not spiteful.